everyone, happy Sunday. I'm back to share a new kitchen tip with you, and as you can see I have a tiny little co-host here with me. I was just about to go live and then he woke up from his nap, so he decided to come join mommy. And today I wanted to chat with you about a topic that is very popular in my house, and that is eggs. This little guy right here, he eats eggs pretty much every morning. He can now take down 2 eggs by himself for breakfast in the morning, along with fruit and oatmeal and all sorts of other stuff. But the egg for me is one of my favorite ingredients. It's something that, like I said, we eat here in my house pretty much every single day, and the egg, it seems really humble, but it improves so many other dishes. It becomes a whole meal by itself. Everything from, you know, boiled eggs and fried eggs, scrambled eggs, to custards and to meringues and all sorts of things. So eggs are really an ingredient that I love. When I was in culinary school, it was one of my favorite sections of the entire curriculum, was talking about eggs, because they're so versatile. You can use them in so many different ways, and they're really actually a great ingredient, but easy to get wrong. There are a lot of ways that you can kind of go wrong along the way, and so I wanted to share with you 5 tips on ways to make your eggs taste better, and also to make it easier to cook eggs and get the result that you want when you're cooking eggs. So the first thing I want to talk about is pretty much where you start with eggs, is cracking your eggs, is actually getting inside of the shell of the egg. And so a thing to know with the egg, you may see them cracked in different ways on like cooking shows and stuff like that, but the best way is to use a flat surface. So not along the side of a bowl or like a cutting board or something like that. And the reason that it's better to do is a flat surface is because you're much more likely to get a crack on the egg that it will allow it to break in half without a bunch of shards everywhere. And also, if you're not using pasteurized eggs, there's a chance that the salmonella on the outside of the egg will get on the inside of the egg. He's really eager to get on camera. It's possible that the salmonella that's on the outside of the egg, when the egg passed through the birth canal, will get on the inside of the egg when you crack it and hit it on the side of like a bowl or something like that. So it's much safer if you crack it on a flat surface. And so crack your egg. And the easiest way, if you're trying to separate eggs, like you want to separate the whites from the yolk, is to use the shell itself as 2 little cups that you can use to separate the eggs. So you can see here, I have the white here and the yolk on the other end. And so you can just transfer them back and forth between the 2 as little cups. And then you'll end up with whites in one half, and you'll want to use an extra little bowl or something to catch the white, but transfer the yolk back and forth between the 2 sides, and you end up with something like this, where you have the yolk on one side and then you have your white. And if you ever drop some shell into your egg, whether you're separating them or you're just scrambling them or cooking them, however, and you want to retrieve the eggshell out, the best thing to do is use the shell itself, because the shell is attracted to itself. The proteins within it make it more likely to get attracted to the shell itself, versus if you try to stick your finger in there, and every time you stick your finger in there, it kind of seems like it swims away from you, or if you use a spoon or something, it kind of swims away. The proteins are actually attracted to themselves in the eggshell. So if you use the eggshell to retrieve a piece of egg, if you drop any shell inside of the eggs as you open the egg. So that's the best way to retrieve it. So that's the first tip around cracking the egg. Hi, baby. Are you enjoying your blueberries? He's over here having a snack while he watches / tries to get on camera. He loves the camera. He's so used to me now putting him on camera all the time that he pretty much automatically is trying to check himself out and see what's going on, so that he'll probably pop in. There you go. They're showing off his blueberries. So the next thing is, if you're going to hard boil an egg. So the easiest way to hard boil an egg is to start with cold water in a pot. So you get a regular saucepan, put your eggs inside of that. So you can use the eggs straight out of the refrigerator is fine. You put those in the pot. Fill that up with water. You want to make sure that the water completely covers the surface, so the eggs are completely submerged in the water. And then put that on the stovetop, and you want to put it on to boil. So you start with cold water, cold eggs, and you let those come up to temperature together. So you don't want to put the eggs in already boiling water. You want to make sure that the eggs and the water come up to a boil together, and that makes it much less likely that your eggs will rupture while they're in the hot water. If they come up to temperature with the water, then there is kind of like a homeostasis between the egg itself and the water, and it'll be much less likely for the egg to rupture. So do them at the same time, and as soon as your eggs and the water come to a boil, take them off the heat, put them on a burner that is cold or cool, and cover it with a lid, and then let that sit in the hot water, no longer boiling, but just hot water for 12 minutes. So set a timer for exactly 12 minutes. And then you'll take the eggs out of the boiling water, and you want to run them under cool water in order to stop the cooking process. So that entire process will help you to ensure that the eggs are completely cooked, but you end up with a nice bright yellow yolk on the inside. It's not going to have that brownish color to it, and it won't be rubbery, and that's the really important thing when you're cooking them, is so it won't be rubbery. So these are some that I just made earlier today, and you can see you get a nice bright yellow yolk on the inside. There's no brownish tint around the outside. You want some? Yeah? You want to eat some? Yeah, have a bite. Oh yeah, Leo approves. He's a big fan of eggs. So that is the best way to make sure that you get a nice bright yellow, soft, tender interior to your egg. So it's not all hard and crumbly when you open up the egg. So like again, you put it in the water, start them both cold, bring it up to a boil. Then you want to put a lid on top of it, take it off the heat, let it sit for 12 minutes. So set a timer for exactly 12 minutes. When the 12 minutes is up, then you can take those eggs out of the hot water. You can just pour the hot water off. Then fill the same pot up with cold water and let them sit there and cool down. And then when they're cooled down, you can take them out, and you'll want to shell them and everything. Another tip for when you're hard boiling eggs is you want to use eggs that are older. It's actually much easier for you to peel the eggs when they're older instead of using super fresh eggs. Hi, Gracie Ann, nice to see you. It's much better to use older eggs because they'll be easier to shell. You want to come out? All right, come over. Come on over. He wants to join me. I think he had a taste of the egg and now he wants some more. Okay, we're sharing now. So it'll be much easier for you to shell them if you wait until you have older eggs. So if you have eggs sitting around in the refrigerator, use those instead of the eggs that you just bought. Or if you plan on hard boiling like a bunch of eggs for like an egg salad or potato salad or something like that, then it's much better for you to buy those ahead and wait a few days before you boil them and cook them off, so that you don't end up with it being super difficult to peel the eggs, which was one of the annoyances I always had with making things like that, is that it was really annoying to try to peel the eggs because the egg would start to fall apart, or when I took the peel off, half the egg came off in my hand with the peel. So the way to avoid that and make it much easier is to use older eggs and not use fresh eggs, and that will help you avoid that issue. Yes, here we go. I know, now that you've had a taste. He absolutely loves eggs. He eats them all the time. The next thing is with scrambled eggs, which is usually the way that Leo has his eggs every morning. Scrambled eggs. The key to scrambled eggs is actually cooking them low and slow. So a lot of times when you're making breakfast in the morning, you're trying to hurry up and get it done. So you turn up the heat to really high, throw them in the frying pan, cook them really fast, and try to get them scarfed down before you have to go to work or start your day or whatever it might be. So the issue with that is you end up with usually rubbery eggs that don't taste very good. The texture is not super great. And the way to remedy that is cooking scrambled eggs low and slow. So you have a really soft, fluffy texture to your eggs, that they'll actually keep their nice yellow appearance, so they won't turn kind of brown and have that texture that's just not super appetizing. So the way to do that is low and slow. So the temperature for your skillet should be really low, and you want to cook them and take your time. So it's really about patience with cooking scrambled eggs and doing that and taking your time, so that your end product will have that nice fluffy, silky texture in the end final product. So in terms of cooking scrambled eggs, the first thing I really like to point out is your tools. Cooking eggs, the first thing that you want to do if you're scrambling eggs is to whip them up and incorporate air. So I usually will use either a whisk, or you can use a fork, either one. You really want to incorporate air into your eggs, and that's the start for getting the fluffiness that you want from your eggs. Yes, mister, come on over. And then the next thing you can do to increase the likelihood of getting that nice fluffiness is to add in things like milk or add in cream, and that will also increase the fluffiness of the texture of your eggs. I'll sometimes just add in a little bit of water also. Water works really well for increasing the fluffy texture that you want to get from your eggs. So those are the first things you want to do. And then The next step is, like I said, getting them into a skillet, and you want to cook them low and slow. So I use a non-stick skillet when I do scrambled eggs. Makes life a lot easier if you have a non-stick skillet versus using like a a regular stainless steel skillet or something like that, because you have to worry about stuff sticking. Eggs, the proteins in the egg, they will suck and leach right into your pan. So if you don't have a non-stick skillet, make sure that you use lots of lubricant, so oil or butter on the bottom of your pan. You can also do that with stainless steel, more so for flavor, I would say, versus the non-stickness, but very important to make sure that you put something on the bottom, because eggs love to stick to a pan. So either make sure it has a non-stick surface, or you can use butters and oil. And the other thing is that when I cook scrambled eggs, I use a spatula to cook them instead of using well, I guess it's also called a spatula, but I use this style of spatula versus the flat, like, pancake spatula for flipping. This actually works much better. It's much more effective for stirring the eggs, because really what you want to do is continue stirring them, incorporating movement, and scrambling them together as they're in the pot. So this style of spatula works really effectively for doing that. And so you get your eggs in their low heat. So I start on medium-low or medium heat, and then I turn it down to medium-low. So once my pan kind of warms up at medium, I turn it down to medium-low. And then once I pour the eggs into the pan, I'm scrambling them the whole entire time. But really, it's about, like I said, it's about patience. And so it takes time for the eggs to coagulate and get that texture. And you really want to watch them the entire time. It's not something where you want to put the eggs on and then run off and try to do something else in the kitchen, because they can quickly go from liquid to a solid to burnt. And it happens really quickly. It happens to me all the time, because I'm here with Leo and I'll be not paying attention, and then suddenly I turn around and my eggs have burned a little bit, which is totally fine. They can still taste great, and you can still have a wonderful breakfast. But if you really want to improve the texture of them, it's all about that slow cooking and having some patience with your scrambled eggs. Isn't that right? Yeah. He's found his plum. I kept lots of snacks around the area to keep him busy, so he's working his way through a plum, as you can see. The other thing that we love for breakfast are omelets. And with an omelet, it's similar to making scrambled eggs, very similar. It's just that the final few steps are a little bit different. So again, with the omelet, if you want that fluffy texture, it's about incorporating the air. You can add cream or milk to the mixture, or other flavors if you want to add, of course, like salt and pepper, but if you want other flavors in there, you can season it with other things. I like a little paprika. Paprikas always taste really delicious to me with eggs. So after you have mixed all of those ingredients together and you get it into the pan, the thing is with an omelet is you want the layer of egg to be really thin. So if you're going to include other things inside your omelet that need to be cooked, for instance vegetables or a meat or something that needs to be warmed up, you want to have those all ready and done before you get to the egg omelet, the egg stage of creating the omelet. So you don't want to use raw vegetables in there, because you're not going to have enough time to get those vegetables cooked to a texture that will be pleasant for eating with your omelet. You want to do that before you get into the egg part. So if you have like mushrooms or tomatoes or broccoli or whatever you like to put in your omelet, ham, all that, you want to make sure that that is already cooked and tender and the texture that you want it before you start with the eggs. Things like if you have just putting cheese or something inside your omelet, you don't have to worry about that. Obviously it'll melt for you inside the omelet itself, but like I said, any other things that need to be tender or cooked should be done beforehand, because they won't have much time to cook. Eggs cook pretty quickly once they're in a hot pan, so you just want to make sure that those are all ready and prepared before you get to the egg stage. So once you get your eggs inside of the, oh, you getting a drink? He's just having a whole meal while we're here on camera. This is a whole new experience, me trying to do a video with him and seeing what this is like. He's doing all right, I guess. So hey Nemish, good to see you. Say hi, Uncle Nemish. So once you get to the egg stage and you have put your eggs in the pan, you want to make sure that the layer of egg is really thin, and that's the key to getting the omelet done quickly and making sure that it keeps that nice fluffy texture and it doesn't end up burnt And so avoiding that like brownish hard texture, rubberiness that you might get from an omelet if you put the layer too thick or if it has to cook for too long. So getting a really thin layer is important. So once you pour the egg into the pan, into the skillet, you want to again do the same thing I said. The steps are very similar to where you're doing a scrambled egg. So you want to scramble as soon as the egg gets into the pot because you want to cook as much of the egg as possible before it sets into its omelet shape. So scrambling it will help so that you don't just get a coating of cooked egg on the bottom and uncooked egg on the top, because nobody likes that. It doesn't taste very good. You end up with like a soupy egg mixture inside of your omelet. Not good, not tasty. So you want to make sure that you use that time when you first get the eggs into the pan to scramble, 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 and cook as much of the egg as possible before you let it sit and set into an omelet shape. So once you've scrambled and the eggs are starting to set a little bit, that's when you want to stop. And you're going to add in the whatever ingredients are going to be on the interior of your omelet, and then you will let it set. So that will actually give you the nice firm outer side to your omelet, and you can wait for that to set. It should only take maybe a minute or two for your eggs to set at that point, and then you can flip it. You can either do the triple omelet flip, which is like the French style, or you can just do the half flip, which is more American style. I usually do the half flip because it's way easier. The triple flip is definitely a little bit more advanced and much more likely for error to set in, especially early in the morning if you're cooking breakfast. Maybe if you're doing brunch and you have a little bit more sleep, a little bit more energy, you can go for the triple flip, kind of tri-fold omelet style. But if you are taking it easy, just go with the one flip over. It still tastes just as good. So that is the key for making a delicious omelet. You want to make sure you use the same steps as a scrambled egg. Make sure that all of your ingredients are cooked beforehand so everything is tender and easy to just add and incorporate with your egg. The layer of egg should be really thin so that it will cook quickly and then set quickly, and you can flip that into either a double or triple folded omelet. And the last thing that I want to share is for poached eggs. So poached egg is basically cooking an egg in boiling water, and the best way to do this is first you boil the water, and then you want to lower the temperature of your water so that it's just under a boil. So you don't want big rolling boil when you throw the egg into the pot, because that usually will just create a mess, and then the egg whites will fall apart and start floating all over the place. And what are you doing, mister? So funny. You will end up with egg whites all over the pan. He's super fascinated by seeing himself on camera. The egg whites will end up all over the pan basically, and you won't actually get a nice poached egg with the yolk in the middle and the white encompassing it in a nice little envelope. So it's important for you to lower the temperatures of the water. It's not quite boiling, just under a boil. The other thing that can help with the whites kind of separating and floating through the pan is to add some vinegar and salt to your pan, because that helps the coagulation. It makes the egg coagulate faster, so that will help to ensure that the egg whites don't separate and go all over the pan. So adding just like a tablespoon of white vinegar and a pinch of salt to the boiling water will help that process so that the eggs won't separate so much, and the white will envelop the yolk, and it'll have that beautiful kind of poached egg look that you'd expect from a restaurant. And the other thing that I do, which I learned in cooking school, which is really helpful, is if you are doing them like maybe one at a time, this usually works much better if you're doing them one at a time, is to get a wooden spoon or the handle of any kind of utensil, wooden utensil, and then dip it inside of the water and create a vortex. And so you want to spin it really, really, really quickly, and this will create kind of like a hurricane tunnel tornado thing going on in the center of the water. And as the water is spinning like that, you want to drop your egg directly into the center of that vortex, and then the spinning water that's spinning around in a circle will kind of help you by swirling around the egg and pulling the egg white into a nice little envelope around the yolk. So that vortex will help to that process of making the egg in a nice little envelope, little pouch, little purse that has a beautiful, nice egg yolk in the middle and egg white on the outside. And for the most part, in terms of cooking that, it doesn't take very long. That's the other thing to know, is pretty much when you start to see the egg whites start to float to the top, that means that your egg is done. So if you're looking for that beautiful runny yellow yolk on the inside, not having that kind of overcooked pale brownish yellow yolk that's solidified, if you're looking for that kind of quintessential runniness on the inside, you want to, as soon as the whites have started to float to the top, or your entire poached egg has kind of come to the top of your pan, you want to retrieve it, take it out of the pan, drain off the water, and then you're able to serve that. So if you like your egg a little more done, feel free to leave it in there longer. I know from my family, the first time I was serving them, I think I made them eggs Benedict, they were all looking at me like, I don't know about that runny eggs. No, I don't know, sis. I don't know about that runny egg. So if you don't know about that runny egg, that's totally fine. If you're not down with the runny egg, yeah, you don't know about that runny egg. Then you can cook it longer, but if you want the egg yolk to be nice and runny, then you don't need to leave it in there very long. Pretty much as soon as your egg floats, it is done and you can take it out of the pan. Do you have anything else to add? No? Okay, thank you. This has been really fun doing this entire experience with Leo, the superstar egg master. He's an egg expert, as I shared. He eats eggs every day, absolutely loves them. He ate an egg, half of an egg anyway, here while we're sitting here. As soon as he saw it, he's like, that's for me. So thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you have an awesome weekend. And I hope this helps you with making eggs. You know, making eggs great for every meal. I love eggs for breakfast, but eggs go great for lunchtime. You can throw them on a salad. I boiled all these eggs because I'm making Cobb salad this week. I had a craving for Cobb salad, so they go great with salad. They go great as egg salad, potato salad, all sorts of salads. And then also I love them just thrown on top of other things as a protein instead of making another kind of meat. So if you're making like some vegetables and rice and then just frying an egg and tossing the egg on top, that's absolutely delicious. So I love breakfast for dinner too. So even if you're making like scrambled eggs and bacon and all of that with pancakes for dinner, that's another favorite. So eggs are super versatile, like I said at the beginning, and delicious. So I hope this helps you make some delicious eggs and helps make the process of cooking them even easier. Have an awesome Sunday and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, guys. Say bye, Leo. Say bye-bye.